This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
So earlier this year when Apple Vision Pro dropped, the first thing that I wanted to do was try using this headset to fly my drone. And yes, while it worked, it was very cumbersome. The truth is, Apple Vision Pro at the time of release was a half-finished product. There was so many things that I wanted to do with this headset, but the capabilities weren't there yet. And these were simple things like just being able to rearrange your app icons. So this is such a new piece of hardware from Apple. It's such a new venture with an operating system, visionOS 1, that is so young in its infancy stages that, again, there was a lot that I wanted to do but just simply couldn't. Now, after about 6 months on the market and after WWDC, simple things have been added in the second version of the operating system, like manual icon arrangement, bigger screens when connecting your Mac, mouse support for more precise control, and now finally the ability to see your iPhone screen natively as a floating window within Apple Vision Pro. These are features that we take for granted in our Apple devices as they've been around for years. Like on the iPhone and iPad, we can move apps around on our home screen as we wish to really customize the experience. Also on our Mac, we can easily set it up as an AirPlay receiver so that I can display my iPhone or my iPad right onto my Mac screen, right onto my laptop screen. But these are features, again, that we didn't have in visionOS 1 that now have been added in visionOS 2. So with these updates, with these changes, how's the experience flying your drone with Apple Vision Pro? The process that we used to have to go through to make this setup work required I also have a laptop open and a Wi-Fi connection. So all around, it was just a very cumbersome experience. I'd basically have to cast my iPhone to my Mac display and then connect the Apple Vision Pro headset to my laptop as a virtual display. This is not something I wanted to do every single time I went out to fly my drone for fun or for work. That whole process has now been entirely streamlined as we're able to natively display our iPhone screen inside of Apple Vision Pro by using Apple Vision Pro as an AirPlay receiver. So within your iPhone, you'll bring up the control center, go to your screen mirroring section, and then select Apple Vision Pro. And now within Apple Vision Pro, I'm able to see what is on my iPhone screen. So in this case, I've got the DJI Fly application front and center. Now I can grab the screen, I can bring it anywhere that I want to. I can bring it here, put it near my car. As I showed in my previous video, I can make it as big as my car. Like, that is an absolutely massive display now that is bigger than my SUV. So let's go ahead, we'll press record, take the drone off, check complete. And I want to note the latency here because that is probably the biggest change with this native compatibility. So if you look at me here, I can wave my arm. There's no latency whatsoever because, again, this is now a native connection. I can go, spin around, I can look at the traffic, and the traffic is moving just as I would see it because, again, this is a native connection. Now, one of the biggest issues when using your laptop was not only that it was clunky, but you had to use third-party software to try and cast your iPhone display and then try to put it inside of Apple Vision Pro. So it really was a clunky process, but this here is perfect. There's no latency, works really well. I don't need an extra laptop. And as I've shown you in previous videos, we can multitask while in this view. So of course, the best thing about this is that we have this huge screen that we can monitor exposure from. We can frame up our shot from, but we can also press the home screen. I do actually like to just show that DJI does have a native Fly app here in Apple Vision Pro, right? But this, of course, can't interface directly. This can't interface directly with my iPhone or with my controller, so this is just kind of useless at this point. But if we go ahead and open up our home screen, we can open up Flight Radar 24, and now right here within our same view, we can have a live feed of the different air traffic around. So this is all of the different aircraft in the area that are emitting an ADS-B signal. So I can see if there's any helicopters or any planes that might interfere with my plans to fly my drone. Also, I can go and open up this app here called Autopilot. Let's put this over here. This is now going to show me airspace where I can and can't fly. So as you can see, we're right here in Wissahickon. You can see that we start to kind of get close to air traffic control or in controlled airspace for Philadelphia International Airport there. So we're just outside of the circle, but you can see that we are totally okay to fly here. So I can go ahead, close that window, and now we can focus on actually flying the drone. And of course, Flight Radar is awesome to have on the side here as well, so that if we see or hear anything, we can go to here and see exactly where that aircraft is. So this experience is awesome, and the low latency is really just great. I mean, I can go and rip down the water, flip into sport mode, still have total visual over my drone as well. For me, using the virtual reality goggles that came with the Avata 2, right, the Goggles 3, which now are able to be used with like the Air 3 and the Mini 4 Pro, is great, it's fine, but I don't like the lack of situational awareness that I have. I mean, even here, if I wanted to, I'd have to do it by touching on the screen. I could go and pull up my Vision Assist down there in the bottom corner. So now this is exactly how I'd be using my drone, as if I was actually looking at a screen. And again, even as we get a little bit further away, even though the range really wouldn't make all that much of a difference based on the connection from my phone to my goggles here, you don't have any latency, any lag whatsoever. Now, I did notice on a previous flight using Apple Vision Pro that I had a slight amount of lag in the image. And I believe that was because my setup was getting hot. We have like above 100 days here in Philadelphia this week, so it's really difficult to keep your equipment cool, especially when we're out here in the sun. But hey, the good thing about using these goggles is that it completely shields me from the sun so that I don't have to squint, and I can properly frame my shots and I can properly see the exposure here through the live feed.
Now, really quickly, before we get into the second half of this flight, here's a quick word from this video sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is my all-in-one tool to share and manage my content. The layout that I've chosen for my website gives me the ability to share my videos, photos, and general information with my audience on my own terms, so I get to choose how it's displayed. After choosing from one of their many templates, I was able to fully customize the experience quickly and efficiently with the new Fluid engine that makes building out your website a breeze. All of the elements that Squarespace offers gives me so many different options to feature the images and content on my web pages the way that I want. This also makes my website easy to maintain over time, so I can spend less time updating my website and more time creating. Squarespace also offers flexible payment options to users that decide they want to sell goods through their website. So in my case, this would be prints, presets, and anything else photography related. To keep on top of how my website is performing, Squarespace's analytics go in depth so that I can see how much traffic my website is getting, what area of my website is being viewed the most, and I can see which web pages and which content is performing the best. So a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and helping me display my work online for over half a decade. And now back to the flight.
We are getting a little bit of pixelation here. I think that's more so on the drone's end and not the connection between Apple Vision Pro. So you see, as we get much closer, that feed does seem to clear up. It's so funny, like I'm standing here and I see everything in front of me. I see the screen, I see flight radar, but when you look at the actual screen, there's nothing. So this latency right now, I would say, doesn't feel like anything different than it would be if I was, say, using my phone direct or the RC Pro or the RC2 or any of those remote controllers. I'm getting the same amount of latency, so, you know, a shot I usually like to do here is going over and moving along the water. Now, here's something cool, is like, because of how, you know, I'm oriented here, I could close out of flight radar because maybe I don't need it right now. I could go and bring this screen all the way over here, put it up there. Now we have the drone, we have the screen. I have full view over where my drone is going to be flying. I don't have my head tucked down in my remote controller like this, but instead I'm at a comfortable position here. I've got a good view over the drone. I've got a good view over the screen, and I can go and do this normal shot where I go up and over and reveal Manayunk. It's so trippy being able to see the actual drone, but also see the camera feed. Nice. We've got a cloudy day, so it kind of makes for some gross exposures. Like, part of Manayunk is nice and sunny, the other part is super dark and in the clouds, but you know. So I am noticing a little bit of breakup here. It's a little bit more than I say I'd get directly through the screen, so then I'd get, say, directly through my phone screen here. I think that the latency is okay for me. Like, again, because this now setup is so easy to do to where I can just throw my phone screen right within Apple Vision Pro without having to actually like have a laptop with me or a MacBook with me is nice. Let's see, let's do something similar here. Like, if I wanted to do a reveal of the city skyline, I could go and I could spin around. My instinct was to look down at the controller. I could go spin around. I could grab onto my screen here, make it maybe a little bit smaller. Now I've got a visual on my drone. I've also got a visual in the direction that I want to fly. And from here, I can go move down the water, fly up and over, and I don't want to stop my recording here, so I'm not going to be switching lenses, but I think that the 3x lens on my Mavic 3 Pro here would have been great so that we could zoom in and see the skyline a little bit better. But this gets the job done for demo's sake. Again, this is kind of a crappy day because you have these intermittent clouds coming through, which really does mess up your exposure. But for me, for this right now, the low latency, the ease of setup really does make me now want to make the Apple Vision Pro as my preferred method of flying. Now, as I mentioned, you look down here, and obviously I have this screen open and I know what I'm looking at, but people, if they were up on this parking garage, would think I'm absolutely crazy. I'd love to have shared experiences to where I'd be able to meet up with somebody that also has Apple Vision Pro. I could, set up screens, they could come and they could see my screens that I'm seeing, and we could kind of have this shared experience. I think that that would be great for more things than one, like so much more than just drone flying. But look, now I'm out, I'm pinching this thing that I see, but that of course you don't see, which just kind of makes me look ridiculous. So I'd say that visionOS 2, huge game changer for drone flying. I do think Apple Vision Pro is almost too nice to be using as like a everyday, drone flying FPV set of goggles. I know my goggles 3, I almost beat the crap out of them by just going and throwing them inside of my backpack. I really never care whether I scratch up the outside of them because they're made of plastic, but these of course are made of metal, they're made of glass, and you do have to be a little bit more careful with them. So guys, that pretty much wraps up this video, this flight using visionOS 2 and the Apple Vision Pro. Yes, I know I probably look crazy, but let me know your thoughts down below. I think this now is a much more viable option because we have the ability to natively connect. But as I mentioned, let me know in the comments. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.